I successfully escaped low elo. I was placed in silver and managed to climb all the way to top 2400 RR in Immortal 3, and in this video I'm going to show you exactly how I did it. But not only that, I'm going to tell you what I would do differently if I was starting over now, because I made some common mistakes along the way that slowed my climb down, and I don't want you to make those same mistakes, so let's get into it. When I realised after my 50th game in the same rank that I wasn't climbing, I knew I had to change something. Just spamming the game didn't seem like enough for me to climb, at least not at a pace that I was happy with. I definitely was improving by playing the game a lot, but not as fast as I could have been if I did this one thing earlier into my climb, which is learning from other people. You see, there are people who have put thousands of hours into Valorant, and they put their gameplay or tip videos on YouTube that we can watch at any time. Back when I started playing, almost no one was making educational content on Valorant, so what I did was watch pro player VODs and try to replicate what they did in my own games. I picked one pro player who had lots of videos on YouTube and only watched their gameplay and tried to mimic it until I eventually understood what they were doing and why they were doing it. The thing that I paid the most attention to was how they played their gunfights, since I figured if I could just get more frags each game, I'd probably win more. So I was extra attentive to their crosshair placement, peeking, and overall gun control. You can still do this now, and it will work, but if I was starting my climb over again, I would definitely be watching coaching and tip videos rather than pro VODs, because people like myself have synthesized all the experience that we have into short videos that explain the fundamentals and basics of Valorant, which is what you need to focus on when you're in a lower elo. So my advice to you is to watch educational videos and apply the concepts to your own games. However, you have to be careful. Don't make one of the common mistakes that I see with my students. I have a lot of coaching students who are extremely knowledgeable about the game because they've watched a lot of content, but only have 30 to 40 games played per act. Knowledge is useless if you don't apply it, so don't be stuck in a loop of only consuming content. Instead, watch content, learn something, then go into your ranked games and try to apply it. Actually playing the game is super important, and a balanced combination of learning new concepts by watching tip videos and playing enough Valorant to actually apply them and integrate them into your game is the key to improving quickly. I'd played competitive games before I picked up Valorant, specifically League of Legends, so I understood from the get-go that I would have to put a lot of hours in if I wanted to get good. When I first started playing Valorant, it was during winter break, and I had all the time in the world to just play. I played every single day for a month straight. I was grinding and I managed to climb and I improved quickly. My point here isn't that you have to play a ton of games each day and have Valorant be your entire life if you want to climb, because that's not realistic and it's also not true. But the real reason this helped me improve quickly was due to me playing the game consistently. Every day I was logging on, playing lots of comp games, watching lots of pro VODs, and putting real effort into trying to improve. When you're trying to improve at anything in life, whether it be a sport or studying for an exam, there is something about doing it every day that helps you learn quicker and makes the things that you learn stick. So my piece of advice here is that if you are serious about improving in Valorant, try your best to work at it every single day, even if it's just for 1 hour. Play one DM to warm up, one comp game, and watch one tip video while you're in queue. And look, just to be clear, taking 1 or 2 days off from the game won't make you lose everything that you've ever learned, but taking extended breaks is terrible for your improvement and kills your momentum, and if you were never consistent in the first place, you might not ever build that momentum. Just make sure that you're playing a lot, and more importantly, make sure that you're playing consistently. Speaking of playing a lot, I didn't only play comp and watch VODs, I was also playing aim labs and deathmatches a lot too in order to improve my mechanics. I had just played League of Legends for 5 years in a row, and my aim starting off was pretty terrible. So I installed aim labs and did the most noob thing ever, which was put 50 hours of my time into playing grid shot. Now look, grid shot actually did help, and my aim got better, but the targets are way too big on that game mode to develop any skills other than the very basic mouse control needed for an FPS and learning how to flick. I'm not some expert aim trainer, but if you're starting out and you know your aim is a problem, I would recommend you to just grind the Voltaic Valorant benchmarks on Aim Labs, which is a playlist covering a lot of the key aiming mechanics that are important to Valorant. So I played Aim Labs to improve my aim, but to help translate that improved aim into Valorant, I also spammed DMs. In fact, in my first act, I had more deathmatches played than I did comp games. I had a general rule for myself, which was that for every one comp game that I play, I also have to play one deathmatch, and to this day, that's a rule that I recommend my students to follow if they are struggling mechanically. I would play a deathmatch to warm up, and if I had a few bad comp games in a row, I'd play a few DMs between my games to boost my confidence and to get my feeling of movement and gun control back in a low pressure environment. Deathmatch is one of the best tools you have as a low elo player to improve. If you get better at hitting heads and fragging out, then you absolutely will climb out of low elo. I put all of my focus into crosshair placement, peeking and gun control when playing DMs. Focusing on crosshair placement lets you learn where your crosshair needs to be on all the angles when walking around the map. Focusing on peeking meant being extra disciplined about not rounding corners with my crosshair and only using A and D to move as fast as possible. And focusing on gun control meant trying to replicate how pro players use their weapons and figuring out when the best times were to spray, tap or burst. The main takeaway here is to focus hard on your mechanics and you will climb. So like I said, I used to play a league, and one of the advantages I had when coming into Valorant was that I was used to a lot of different characters with a lot of different abilities. At first, I thought this would help me out, and I would be able to gap people by being able to use abilities better than them, but this is not what happened at all. You can be an expert at using silver arrows or raised satchels, but if you can't shoot straight, it is meaningless. So early on into my climb, I made the decision to be disciplined. That meant sticking to a few simple, easy to play agents so that I could put the majority of my focus on winning my gunfights, instead of trying to have perfect utility usage. You can see from this screenshot that I only played 4 agents for the majority of my games. I started off only playing Cypher, but after realising that I didn't enjoy lurking or anchoring on site, I switched to only playing Phoenix and Reyna, 2 agents that to this day I still recommend to my students to play due to their simplicity and carry potential in ranked. I also played Omen to fill, but if you've watched any of my other videos then you know I never recommend people to fill. I recommend people to only play 2 agents and only play 1 role. Playing 2 agents means that you have a pick that is good and meta for each map, and playing only 1 role means that you get used to that playstyle and can focus on getting really good at it, which is better than having to play differently each game depending on whether you're playing duelist going in first or playing as an initiator and supporting your team. Not only is this better for your improvement since you're reducing the amount of variables that change between games, it's also better for your teammates since you're playing an agent in a role that you're comfortable with and can play your absolute best for your team. So yes, in summary, I'm telling you to keep a very small agent pool if you want to climb, and don't be afraid to insta-lock. Pick 2 agents in the same role and stick with them. It's better for your progress as a player and it's better for your teammates. If you're interested in coaching, you can click the link in the description.